Okay, we're looking at this equation. It's a quadratic equation. And I know it's a quadratic equation because I got an n squared term, an n constant, so I'm at 27. So I need to solve it. And right now, the only way that we know how to solve these is to have the thing set equal to 0. So I need this to be equal to 0. I need to get all of my pieces over here. And right now, the only way to do that is to add this 15 to both sides. Now I'm putting a 15 on the right side of the equal sign and on the left side. There's no like terms here, so I'm just going to write mine in standard form, negative 12n squared minus 11n plus 15 equals 0. Now I have my full quadratic on the left. So I need to create a multiplication problem. I need to create this, something here equals 0. In order to do that, I am going to set up an area model. So I'll do that over here. But one thing I should really do first is I got a problem. I got a negative here, which I don't want to have. So I'm going to divide everything by a negative 1. In fact, let me just write it kind of below here. Negative 12n squared minus 11n plus 15 is equal to 0. We're going to divide everything by a negative 1. The left side and the right side. And that's because I want my a term to be positive. So basically the sign on everything is going to flip. This is going to become a 12n squared. This is going to become a plus 11n, and that's going to become a minus 15. And that's going to be equal to 0. All right, now from here, I want to factor this guy. I'm going to set up an area model in order to do so. So I will put my 12n squared here, and I'm going to put my minus 15 here. Now I know these two pieces have to add up to an 11n. I'm going to use a diamond problem to help me figure out how to sort that. I know they have to add to 11. Oh, and let's see, this one's going to get kind of big. We need to do 12 times a negative 15. So I'll get my calculator out. 12 times a negative 15. And that's going to get me to a negative 180. So the bigger the numbers get, the more options that I have. I need the factors of 180 that are going to combine to get 11. And if it doesn't jump out at you right away, you really just have to start kind of listing out your factors until you get something that would work. Now I could go like really small and do the 180. But that's not going to combine it anyway to get 11. So let me go, it ends in a 10. Let me go 10 and 18. I could get that to combine to either an 8 or a negative 8. That's not going to work. Let's see, 180 divided by 15. Yeah, that goes in there, 15 and 12. I can't get that to combine to an 11. I think 20 will go in there. If I do 180 divided by 20, I'm going to get 9, and that's the one that I want, 20 and 9. That I can get to combine to be an 11. I need one of them to be negative because it needs to multiply here, so I'll do a negative 9, and then the 20. This will now combine to a positive 11 when I add and multiply up to be a negative 180. So I can put those in here with the n terms. So 20n and negative 9n. Now what I need to do is I need to factor this. And because I have a coefficient here that is 12, I really have to think in terms of the entirety of the row and everything that will go into both a 12 and a 20. And the biggest number that goes into both of those is a 4. And let's see, that's going to be a 4n. And then once I have that, I can look at the entirety of my column here, the 12n squared and the minus 9n. And that's going to be a 3n. That goes into both the 12 and the minus 9. And 4 times 3 is 12. N times n is n squared. It's working well here. I can do 4n times 5 to get me to the 20n. 3n times a negative 3 to get me to the negative 9n, and 5 times a negative 3 does get me to a negative 15. So I'm feeling good with these binomials. I've got 3n plus 5 times 4n minus 3, and that now equals the 0 that I wanted. And the whole point of doing this is because now I have a multiplication problem that equals 0. Either this thing equals 0, and I will write that equation, or this thing equals 0, and I will write that equation. So what do those look like? Well, that's going to look like 3n plus 5 equals 0, or 4n minus 3 equals 0. And then I solve each of these equations individually. Let's see, I'll subtract 5 from both sides. I get 3n is equal to a negative 5. Divide both sides by 3. And my first answer is n is equal to a negative 5/3. And then my second one here, I'm going to solve this. I'm going to add 3 to both sides. I'm going to get 4n is equal to 3. Divide both sides by 4. And n is equal to a 3/4. These are my two answers. This or this are my two final answers for my original equation, which started looking like this. I got it all on one side, set it equal to 0. I began the process to factor, which is getting rid of that negative 1 at the beginning, dividing every term by negative 1. And then from here, setting up my area model with all these pieces. Once I have it factored, I split each of those, set them equal to 0, solve them, and again, come up with my two final answers. Either n is negative 5/3 or n is 3/4. Hope that is helpful. Message me anytime with questions.